while not always successful, I think just here we're showing the priority of Alistar in our first couple of red side drafts.
And I think, knowing KT, they might want to go for the Alistar, but you have to break up the Lovers duo. Can't really give that over. Simply takes away too many of the weaknesses that are normally associated with the Xayah lane.
Yep.
And it's going to be a continued reliance here on this Taliyah. Now, I know Taliyah has mostly been a flex. For KT, would expect this to go towards BDD. It's a pick that works really well with his style, where he tries to play heavily towards his side lanes. We'll see if that's actually where it goes, depending on the response from Yagao.
And it's also a really good takeaway from Yagao on that note as well. This guy is a supportive mid. He flexes down to his sides. Elk never gets attention from On, so at least he needs a brother and comrade in arms to help give him some leverage. More importantly, Bin is a focus as well. So this time around, we're going to get the chase. Could go top, could go mid, but a lot of the time that has been for Yagao.
Chase Maokai, obviously a very feared combination.
Good duo.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I do think that the Maokai is not as strong as it was, but we've still seen in this tournament. Does what it says on the box. For KT, though, getting aiming on Kai'Sa, I think, is a really big win. I do think that aiming, to me, is the player that over the years has improved the most on KT.
Yep.
I was not a big fan of aiming. He was great at times, but then other times, you know the Jackie Love killer instincts, where you're like, Jackie, no, but then he does it anyway. Yeah. Aiming had a few of those as well, but with a little bit less on the upswing.
Had a few of them in the LPL too. Remember, aiming was on BLG.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, in the time of Zeka as well. So it's funny how these guys kind of met, and funny how these organizations end up meeting again as well.
And but he didn't do any of that. I think his playoffs was actually the only one on KT who looked like themselves.
Yep.
And we'll see if he's able to maintain that level, because I think high pressure situations have been this player's kryptonite at time. As we do see the Alistar, no surprise, Nautilus remains like, I feel like Nautilus is banned second rotation every single game.
It really is, isn't it?
He's good enough to be banned, but not to be picked in the first rotation.
Especially against LPL supports, I think, at the moment. Chris is the only one I'm a bit sus on, but he showed up with the Leona rather earlier on. But against On, these are quality bans. You've also taken away the Rakan. So some of the engage options for one of our best supports in our league, if not the best, honestly, at the moment, is minimized. KT have done their research, while on the other side, they're thinking, hey, okay, we know BDD, as you said, Chronicler, is going to be taking this Taliyah towards mid. Let's get rid of some of the engage options from Cuzz. This feels like a specialty. I'll let you take it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. Cuzz has not pulled this one out in a while, but it is a pick that I think is very undervalued right now.
Okay.
I think that obviously do need to make sure that you actually get through the early game, as Rel really the only like S-tier engage support still available, so it wouldn't surprise me if that gets locked in.
Yep.
And I do think that specifically the combination of Taliyah and Zek can run into some issues in the early game. Merc Threat's really high value, and so is MR. But at the same time, the team fighting that KT have been able to pick up with cousin picks like this is really, really a big part of what made the team so versatile throughout the summer split.
Well, with that locked in, I mean, it's already spiced up the draft. BLG going for a different approach. I mean, Bin is someone who plays carries top. He doesn't really play tanks outside of the Cassante, so it's not completely new, but it's not his perfect wheelhouse. A little bit disappointing when we hyped up, you know,
waiting for the blind Fiora.
Yeah, is it going to
the
come?
Gauntlet? Well, no, I mean, I would have loved that from Bin.
Yeah.
But I think that this is a good call. And yeah, I think ideally you'd want to go towards the Gwen here, which we've seen be very successful against the Cassante.
Yep.
But that would leave you with a full AP topside, which makes itemization, particularly for Cassante and Maokai, like very, very straightforward. On the flip side, though, BLG also very samey damage profile, very AD focused. Wouldn't surprise if we see Shun go for like the hybrid first strike and demonic embrace build, try and get some damage from there. And looking at these two drafts, I think that for KT, right, on my end, you have Lehends on something that can roam, BDD on something that can impact the map. Only point of worry for me is how well is Kiin individually going to perform, because I do think Aatrox kind of needs these pop-off moments. And how is that mid-jungle 2v2 for Cuzz and BDD going to go? Because Taliyah, Zek, early on, bit rough.
Yeah, a little bit rough, but again, look, I'm kind of just wondering what form KT are going to be in. There's a lot of questions coming into this, right? I know LCK fans will be saying the same thing. And it's strange because there's another part of me seeing the contrast between them and BLG. It's like, what form of BLG are we going to get in? Because last time we saw them was against LNG. It was a loss. It was a little bit disappointing. And they've had a lot of time off. Of course, naturally securing their position thanks to points. So a lot of questions hopefully to be answered, and we get to find out at the end of Swiss Day 1 here at Worlds. Whose cuisine reigns supreme?
That one locked and loaded?
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean,
it's a good one.
To be honest, for about 5 seconds only, but it was in there.
Really?
Yeah. My brain.
Look at you.
Sometimes, you know.
Incredible. I have to get used to this. It's our first cast together.
That's true, with another Australian.
I know.
You walked out of LCK cast into LPL cast, but Australians just reign everywhere.
Yeah, I hope Atlas is okay.
He'll be all right.
I hope he'll forgive me.
He'll get over it.
Sure he will.
I think he likes me. I don't know. We'll be right.
I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I think you can make a statement.
Well, welcome nonetheless. BLG versus KT, as we were saying before, we've hyped this one up because these two teams, expectations fell a little bit short in playoffs. It's third seed versus second seed, but remember that BLG finished third in playoffs too. So because they qualified on points, a lot of people are saying LNG are our second best team in terms of, how we rounded out the split, and BLG are our third.
And this is kind of the, and you never know, right? But KT, how they looked against Gen G seemed like it was so much of a more comfortable matchup for them, where their strengths, I think their mid-game acceleration and the way that they can break open games in early game, while still having a really consistent team fight and sideline impact, was something that Gen G seemingly was able to really deal with. And obviously, and I will defend the decision from KT to pick T1, because T1, you gotta understand, they even knowing that Faker came back, right? They looked really rough even before, when he was still in. Is something that I don't think you can hold against KT, but it does leave a lot of questions of what if they had just gone for the obvious choice, picked Homer, would have gone from there, but we don't know, and we never will, and we'll see if they can find a return to form for themselves here today.
You'd hope so. Again, BLG, big task to ask. I think more importantly, while you're talking about playstyles there, just a quick note for anyone who didn't watch the LPL, BLG, this is a team that skirmishes very heavily. They're not the best team fighting team. That goes to JDG.
It's quintessential
LPL. That's
exactly.
right. That's right. And look, you look at this draft and you're like, what does this team do very well? Well, I think there's going to be a lot of fighting, a lot of skirmishing coming through. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, there's one thing you need to do out there as well. Don't forget to connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Experimentation. Damn, so close. The emote, of course. You know what I'm talking about.
I've seen enough Heimer at Worlds 2022. Like, I don't fault you for that. That was not a fun meta.
You all get what I'm saying anyway. Heimer wins lane, so I guess it works out anyway. But
I'm not sad that Champion is gone. He didn't really allow for a lot of interactive gameplay.
Very true.
Looking at the early game here, we do see aiming also going for call, which is about as face-up of a I don't expect a lot to happen in lane as we can possibly get.
Yep.
And I want to see to what extent BLG is able to actually punish Cuzz, because I do think that if Zach just gets to get to at the very least level 6, but ideally to level 9 when Elastic Slingshot is maxed, becomes so much harder for a lot of these champions on BLG to really play the game. Bindo starting off very well here in the early game. Kiin struggling to pick up the CS under the turret.
I mean, this is what we know Bin for, a great laner. And again, Kiin might have been regular season hero, but we know recency there as well. Bin has a recency, Kiin doesn't. So I think it's more important to note that so far expectations being hit in the top lane, while Cuzz has hit level 4, has the extra range on Slingshot here, Chronicler. That angle is so genius, but Yagao's like, nah, never mind. Gates out, brings it back, shove! Only mildly in the air.
Oh, I think because of the position of the wall there, Yagao didn't actually get thrown onto the E. Wouldn't have made a difference, right? Early Talia damage is
maybe a flash.
Not something, maybe. Yeah, I think, I think Yagao, he's cool like that. He'll just...
It'd pay respect.
No, I don't know if he would. I don't think you have to. Like, early Talia really is... I say as someone who plays a lot of jungle Talia, it doesn't feel as good as it used to, unfortunately. Does mean that Cuzz is able to get a little bit of early action going. Also picked up the bot side scuttle, so won't be falling too far behind in that regard. We'll see if he's actually able to do anything, because I do think that trying to gank the Cassante early on when the Aatrox doesn't really have any items yet is somewhat of a tough ask.
True. Very hard indeed as Yagao runs out with mana in mid. Bin will just look for the shove in top side. Still that CS lead. I mean, it's impressive that we start the game off 5 minutes in. Bin is already doing exactly what you want.
I have flashbacks to this, and they're not good at MSI.
Oh,
Shun
no.
level 4 in bot lane.
Yeah.
That happened a lot, man.
Quite creative with his angles. I mean, he's on a ward, but KT not respecting. Flash burnt by Lehends. Shun did burn his own, but you get a summoner out of the bottom lane at the very least.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one, Lehends. I do think because Shun actually had to flash, might be calling maybe on that. It's a maybe, right?
It's
but
I guess.
knowing that the Maokai is there, it feels like he should be able to just absorb the pressure and buy space for Cuzz. Because again, Cuzz just wants to farm as much as he possibly can. While Shun does indeed go for the Giants build first, so might be heading towards at least a Demonic Embrace, but didn't go first strike. So does mean that some of the damage, I think we saw it in the game of G2 against D+, right? How much that still could do in the late game. Is Cuzz just going for the same gank again?
Same. Yagao's part of the... It's like he's expecting it to come through. He wants that cannon, but hang on, this time the flash is gone. If it doesn't work the first time, just try again.
Yeah, and like extra level on your slingshot, easy peasy. Gets the flash there now. We'll have to see whether they're actually able to aggressively punish this lack of flash from Yagao, as Elk and On might be looking to contest the Dragon here, but with Shun on the other end of the map, don't think that they can really get too much going. Aiming is still catching the wave though.
Ooh. Interesting angle here.
Oh, BDD has ult.
No vision gain. Cuzz now appears out of nowhere. On's like, hang on a minute, there's 4 people surrounding. Weaver's wall's been picked up. BDD with his level 6 uses it well, but On now flashes over the wall. The shove not connecting. They dissipate, but hang on. Elk with goes the Shattering Strike. They're turning a 2v4. Elk's out. The feathers, one more, but Cuzz holds on to the bloblets. And Elk was feeling that one.
Still, a really big success here because the gank is absorbed, no dragon goes over to KT, Yagao gets unmatched waves in mid,
That's right.
able to pick up a plate as well, and Shun is able to just farm his top side of the jungle. Now 12 CS ahead here. And KT going in aggressively there, but a little bit disjointed there, right? You have BDD on one side of the wall, and then you had Cuzz on the other end, but not really able to actually lock down. And you have aiming and Lehends without ultimate, so they don't offer too much in terms of early damage or playmaking.
Yep.
And the first play from KT not quite working out.
I mean, again, Cuzz has been really creative with these angles. I think you could say the same happened again, but as the all-in comes through, Lehends tries to set up for aiming. Problem is, no quickness there, nor any damage to follow through. And On just holds on while he waits for Elk to return to lane, while BDD, that ulti's not available, but he's starting to try and move around the map. And this is what I love, you know. BDD and Yagao, I know they share some similarities. I expect this is Yagao. Talia, he moves across, he moves that pressure to one of the side lanes. BDD doing exactly that here in this opening game.
Oh, Shun has his ultimate available.
He can match it across. Aiming, no, just picked up 6, though. On goes for the all-in. Lehends just walks it out against Rakan. Even without the flash, it is pretty hard.
And while the previous play was absorbed by the bot lane of BLG, KT now returns the favor. And immediately, with the shove there for Kiin, they're able to start up the Heralds. KT looking to pick up an early objective. We'll see if BLG try to go for a response or just fight them.
Just do that. I mean, this team skirmishes all the time. Shun held on to his ulti. Bin has his with flash as well. Herald's going to go down, but look at the shock blast damage. Zoning the eye while aiming onto Elk. The cleanse out immediately. The flash is there. Forward he goes. Second skin. First blood for aiming. Take that, BLG, he says.
And aiming, getting a first blood on the Kai'Sa is going to make KT fans extraordinarily happy.
Yep.
This is the champion he kept getting. I think it was like a 10-game win streak, and everyone was like, why? Why does he keep getting Kai'Sa able to punish the overextending Elk? Now, BLG was able to deny the actual pickup of the Herald, but they won't get the objective themselves. But with aiming picking up a kill on the bot side of the map, I think KT is still going to be very happy. A lot of CS denied here as well to Elk. On trying his best to pull the wave back so that the gank doesn't hurt as much, but big win for KT.
It's 500 gold lead off the back of that as well. As you mentioned, aiming on Kai'Sa, getting a lead is just naturally something to get excited for. I'm sure the KT fans out there can agree. But more importantly, I think it helps with this next setup coming through. Dragon's still not touched. I guess we can talk about it in a second, and we'll see how this solo kill followed out.
It's just a bait, right? Aiming not actually on any vision. Lehends also was pathing towards bot. Looked like he was actually responding.
What happened here?
Yeah, they didn't. I did timeout, as mentioned. So good job on BLD on that one because they were a member up, because Lehends wasn't actually there.
Yep.
But with the kill going over, I think KT's still going to be not too unhappy about it. It's been.
Oh, hang on. Kiin at half HP. Is the World Ender going to be popped out? Not yet. Looking for the flip of the wrist. Gets Kiin, but again, holds on to that all out. Bin continues to do well in this lane despite what's happening in the bottom side as we continue to wait for this Dragon a little bit later than what we've seen for the rest of today with 10 minutes in and both teams trying to pivot around. That's a long way for Cuzz to go if he wants a sausage roll, but he's just going to walk out for that one, and Elk stands his ground.
Pretty sure he was also standing on vision, so good job on Elk making sure that he absorbs that. Cuzz does have his passive, but doesn't really want to get caught by Honor here.
On a ward for the time being. Slingshots out. Shattering strike zones. BLG thinking about starting it, luring them in on the Scuttle Crab. On takes away the blast cone as well. KT looking at this one. Elk's tagged on the back end. Lehends looking for the engage. Cuzz is there. Teleport as well. Elk immediately ults, and he's about to turn into Flubber for the time being. I mean, Cuzz is out of action, but can he rejuvenate? No! And the engage from On is massive as well. Quickness out. KT burning flashes. Left, right, center, but should now twisted advance. Aiming's going to drop down. And just as we're singing the praises of KT, BLG fight back.
Really big play there by BLG, able to turn around the engage from KT. KT seemingly not on the same page, and crucially there, Kiin's GP was a couple of seconds off. The moment that Bin channels his teleport, I think KT, rightfully so, says, hey, we can't win this, we have to back off. But at that point, the damage is already done. Cuzz has already gone in, the follow-up isn't really there. And yeah, again, look at the timing here, right? Great setup as well. Bin already has priority. And even with BDD making his way over, this is way too early from Cuzz. If the Talia's already there and you have some threat, maybe that's enough. Instead, lands BDD, get rooted up by the ultimate from Shun, making an easy setup for On. And by the time Bin joins, the rest of KT are just trying to get out of there.
And Elk picked up the kill from that as well. So one apiece here for both AD carries. The difference is that aiming is getting to the item first. Close for Elk it must be. To mention that there's going to be a bit more power here coming through from KT's AD carry.
The one upside for KT, and the reason why I think the gold still skews slightly towards them, is that Kiin was able to both alleviate a lot of the damage that was done in terms of CS because Bin TP'd away, while also picking up, I think it was one plate, maybe two. He had not gotten a whole lot done his On.
Okay, Cuzz going to be lured in, but this is pretty good for KT. On tries to jump on down. Remember, Cuzz has no passive, but On has bitten off way too much. The aggro gets punished, and KT know just what to do.
This time around, going in on their own works. Oh, Shun knows!
All right, Cuzz back on in, and look at the follow-up. Lehends in form today as BDD joins in. This map movement from the Zac is on point.
Elk. Reinforcements are on the way. Yagao is almost there. I don't know if that's enough to actually call the play.
Doesn't need the passive, does he? Elastic slingshot now that it's down. Well, Elk can feel happy for the time being, but Yagao gets zoned out. KT still putting on the pressure points. Well, Kiin roams down to mid to swap this turret plate.
And I think Yagao made the right call because making sure that Elk can still catch that wave is really big. But it also means that with Kiin roaming down towards mid, he doesn't find anyone, is able to trade plates relatively even. And we see plates dropping in about a minute or about half a minute. We'll see if we get more picked up. As here, Cuzz, he has been so active. Sure, one time didn't really work out, but this is really what you're looking for. This is what KT was able to consistently do. That 1-2 of Cuzz and Lehends going in aggressively, setting up plays, and then it's aiming and BDD to get to reap the spoils.
And it's crazy that I'm casting BLG right now, and I'm like, KT are out proactiving them. Let's try it for English better. They are being more proactive than BLG. I didn't think I'd say it.
Hey, you're Australian. You don't,
Oh, we don't even speak English.
No, you're good. And this is what I think is also how a lot of the KT games look. And if you only watch LCK game playoffs, you didn't really see this team. But if you watched any of summer,
now we're getting flashbacks.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing that was really big as well, the only match they lost was a match in the first week against Genji that had a lot of other factors as well. And outside of that, they look like by far the best team. We'll see if they're able to keep it up, though.
Yep.
Because can never count out an LPL team when it comes to fighting.
No, you definitely can't. BLG will keep smacking.
Just keep trying.
At the very least, look, being 1,000 gold behind ain't great. You saw the MasterCard lane economy before, 1,000 ahead, or 1,200 to be specific for aiming. Still looking good on his Kai'Sa. As KT are getting more than that. Cuzz picks up the Rift Herald. It looks like mid might be open, or at least trying to open the map. Cuzz threatening and trying to be flexible. I mean, that's the thing as well. He's been so flexible. He's been ganking Yagao over and over this game. It's been the bot lane ganks that Elk and On have been suffering by. I wonder when Bin gets his medicine, because surely Cuzz at this point can go to any of these lanes and find success.
And Cuzz also now maxed out the Elastic Slingshot, right? So it's going to be a really big threat for the backline. Elk, of course, does have 11-8 safety with his ultimate, but if you have to press your ultimate every time a Zac jumps on you, not going to be feeling too good. We will see, though, like once we actually get to the team fights with KT having this lead, to what extent we're able to use this Aatrox. It's kind of the odd one out for me. I do think that the backline access of Zac combined with Kiin, who can then make his way over, and aiming, obviously, with Kai'Sa can then join the backline dive. In theory, I really like it, but then you look at what is on the opposite side, and the counter-engage and kind of ability to absorb pressure of particularly Maokai, K'Sante, and Xayah. Still, a lot of power there for BLG when it comes to the team fights.
But how scary is the pick as well, the range at which that can come through. I know we've seen Cuzz early on play through,
the Zac? Oh, yeah.
When Zac pairs up with Taliyah, you know, because early on you're like, Zac Taliyah early, not as great, but now with levels under their belt and items as well, you're like, well, that duo can kind of one-shot and find an opening in this game, like they've already done. As Teleport comes through, I guess they want to try and force it around the Dragon Chronicler. Going to start off with the Magnastorm down, but On, it's only on one. It's Kiin as well. There's Cuzz again, right in the back as Elk sends the feathers out to Asgard. Kiin's already picked up the kill to make him go zoom zoom as aiming's in as well onto Elk. Almost finds the kill.
Going in.
BLG are running for their lives. They don't know what they've run into.
And initially when the TP came in, I was a little worried for Kiin.
Yep.
BLG looking ready to respond, but it felt like only On was actually in a position to do some damage towards this Aatrox. And then that counter-engage from Cuzz, the amount of threat he was able to put on the backline, immediately forced a response. Hextech. Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh.
I love Hextech.
Did you put that in your pick'ems as well or something, did you?
No, Cloud, because I'm an LCK guy.
I said that before the Venius.
Yeah.
I knew you guys would.
No, of course, I had to. But Hextech, I think Hextech Gates are my favorite addition to the game.
Agreed. Actually,
in like the last, I don't know, 4 years. It's so good. There's only upsides, right? It speeds up objectives. It enables plays.
Creative plays at that, right? It's so good, and especially when you're like, oh, Baron play, everyone died, but guess what? They're there in 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
So we get to see more action. Yep. Well, with that coming through in the game, that means we get to keep speeding things up. And I will say, you know, KT have been the ones doing that so far. It's a 2K gold lead for them. And we'll look at this single play. You were saying On was in position, but unfortunately the rest of BLG weren't really.
Yeah, it feels like some split comms here, right? Because if Shun also jumps onto Kiin, I think they can CC chain him.
Yeah.
The rest of KT is so ready, though, and Cuzz forces immediately the rest of the backline to retreat. Lehends has a lot of offensive pressure, and by the time aiming jumps in, fight has already been won. Due to them being able to kill a target early. It's been...
He's in trouble. 1 versus 2. The Weaver's wall cuts him off, but he flashes over the top. But Kiin, without his summoner, can't chase up. Still, you get a summoner out of a K'Sante. Feels like a big win.
I'm just happy to see BDD back at Worlds. Like, if you're a BDD fan, 2022 was a really rough year. Struggled a lot with long COVID on the Nongshim team, where the expectations at the beginning of the year were pretty good. And particularly after his, I think, unexpected and really iconic overperformance at Worlds 2021. It was a tough year. Seeing him come back and actually have the impact on the map the way he did in LCK regular season makes me very happy. It's really good to see. We'll see if KT can really build a decisive lead from here. Because the 2K gold lead, obviously going to be happy about that. I think aiming in particular being accelerated is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And generally when teams start falling behind in side lane tempo against KT, it gets really dicey, particularly with the Taliyah, which I'm sure BLG have used themselves a lot as well.
A lot. Again, I'm usually saying that about, you know, teams that fall behind BLG, it continues to ramp up. But I think more important than our rivalry, than the LPL versus LCK, I have to sit here and be impressed by KT because, again, it's been a while. You know, as you were saying, through playoffs, through what we've seen of KT, you know, coming through as 3rd seed, we're getting that regular season power, and that's what impresses me the most. That's what gets me excited for the rest of Worlds, and at least the rest of their run. Regardless of win or loss, at least this is a great opening for a team that we have high expectations of if we stop watching before playoffs.
And we'll see if they're able to keep it up. KT fans are, as mentioned, a superstitious bunch. Do not get the drop on Yagao there. That definitely was expecting some stretching strike shenanigans to happen there. But see if they can close out. Generally, in these type of positions, with a comp as comfortable as this, KT have been very consistent in the LCK in closing out games. See if BLG are going to be able to equalize that account. I do think that until we get a lot of Drake stacking built up for KT, they're really going to have to respect the threat towards Baron.
Yeah.
With the amount of damage that is available from the BLG, particularly from Elk.
Yagao as well thrown into the mix. Almost got that mirror mana fully stacked up. So 2 item on the Jace. We've also got a Thornmail from Bin to negate a lot of that power. And when we have Navori Quick Blades for aiming, you can see who it's targeted towards. The Aatrox, of course, from Kiin on top of that. And I know, our player matchup was aiming versus Elk. And it's still going to be quite interesting, even though aiming is at 2 items here and has a lot more gold than Elk right now. Elk is getting towards his second 2. We are going to have very powerful scaling ADs to hover again that build on aiming. That, of course, is going to scale so well. And I love it because these guys are huge. I don't know, we can just highlight. We can literally go through every matchup. Let's just go through them all.
Yeah.
Shouldn't versus Cuzz next. I think it makes sense. But this is one of the matchups today where, like, these players individually are so talented.
And something that I think was on my mind and the mind of a lot of LCK fans at the beginning of the day was what form of some of the LCK teams, particularly of D+ and KT, are we going to see? For D+, we're actually going to hit all of them! Amazing. Love that. And here you see as well that when it comes to Cuzz actually getting it in gold, not really. He hasn't really been picking up a lot of the kills. Zelk might be in trouble here.
BLG bottom lane, it depends. There's a flash from Lehends. Instant reaction! Inhuman maybe, but there's a flash away as Cuzz follows up the double trouble on, re-engages, but it's dangerous with the feathers flying. Onto Cuzz, are huge as BLG are trying to take the fight. Kiin in the middle of whoop. Sean looking for the flash, finds a kill. BLG back in this has been, now finally shows up the all-out there. BDD caught out as well, and you can never nap against BLG.
And Elk knew something was up. I'm telling you, he had his finger on that flash key.
He did.
Didn't know if it was going to be Lehends, didn't know if it was going to be Cuzz. KT, they're still contesting this.
Yagao has flash, Lehends might be a Rakan, so he should be fine.
3 versus 5.
You're exactly right there. The poke comes through.
Okay, they're not contesting.
KT sent backing, and they can't anymore. Dragon picked up. And I mean, Elk, this is why he comes in clutch. This is why he's one of our best team fighting 80 carries. How good was this reaction?
Oh. Actually able to get away there, then flashes, and then this is where things go dire as Kiin goes in trying to help Cuzz, but then Kiin is by himself. It's the split decision that we saw earlier from BLG, this time for KT. Even with aiming in full health, they're saying, hey, we've been teleporting in, we gotta respect. And that means 2 members are giving up. Drake goes over, and gold! That even.
Yes, it is, making things interesting. Of course, Elk did quite a bit. Apparently, so did Shun, as well as Baron getting started. All right, Chronicler, we're making things more interesting.
They're really going for it. It's not traditionally a KT move to just start the Baron. It's more of a T1 thing, but we'll see if they can execute on this fight.
The poke's there. Cuzz isolated though for the time being. Bin has his number. He's got flash, and he's got the ulti up again as well, but Cuzz gets out with the slingshot. Ladies and gentlemen, that ain't great. KT are burnt down, and BLG now trying to think about it.
Do want to make sure that you don't try and flip a Baron against Zach. He's one of the most iconic, the over the Baron wall drive-by steals. Still, though, we're seeing KT, I think, slipping back into some of the old patterns. Oh, aiming. They're setting up a trap for Elk here. He does have his ultimate available, but he's not going to walk in. And KT won't be given an opportunity to take him down.
No, indeed. And I have to be honest, again, this back and forth in the game, I feel like KT and BLG, we've been hyping up how close these teams are. We've been hyping up how important this matchup is to start Worlds, because their end wasn't ideal. Against LNG, against T1, I'm sorry to say. They gave us entertaining games, but it's not what we wanted to see. But at the very least, as we come to this point in the game where Baron sits and stares at us in the face, we can see what these guys are like for now. It's nice of you to join me for the last one. You know,
great
last
time.
one of the day.
Yeah,
hey,
it's delivering.
It is. And I feel like some of the games today have been barnstormers, to quote. And this one's the biggest storm I've seen so far. Well, maybe.
I do think that the game, you know, some people might look at this score and see 4 kills at 25 minutes and think not a lot has been happening. But those people, they're wrong.
They are
wrong. They don't know.
What do they know? Nothing.
Well, I mean, I don't know about nothing, but they definitely don't know about this game.
A little bit, then. A little bit. I know that Cuzz is getting ready to angle on in. I mean,
he's looking.
BLG are going into the enemy jungle, but Cuzz is always there.
And that's why I love these wards that you see BLG put down, right? Like these continuous wards, like look, one on Krugs, now one on Raptors, because you know for a fact that Cuzz is going to be looking, and if you know the Zek is coming, makes preempting it so much easier. I do think one of the big issues for both these teams is that with how good the engage is on either side, actually starting on up an objective can feel like bait. Because if you're the one tanking the initial brunt of Baron damage, right? If you're the one who is clumping up, trying to stay safe from the opposing team, then one big ultimate from On, one big elastic slingshot from Cuzz can spell a lot of disaster in a very short amount of time.
Again, not expecting this pick to come out. There's very few Zaks in the world. One I would throw in is Tarzan from LNG.
Of course.
Who historically was just amazing. Was his time on Griffin where he pulled that out a few times? It was kind of the meta around the time. Going a little bit back now.
I love Zach. I'm happy. I'm
so
happy
good.
he's picked, and happy to see the Champion University shoot up still as all aiming is level 2 worlds.
Yeah, because Bin is confident in this matchup. He's winning it out, but until the ult comes through, until aiming comes through, now you're in trouble. Bin getting out. He's got about 1 million dashes, but is it enough for aiming? KT forced his flash, and they're still doing so much work. There's the flash from aiming. One more, and Bin's down. But KT have over-aggressed here as Yagao trying to jump in, but big brother Kiin helps out aiming concept. KT, welcome to the party, pal. The ult pullback is huge, though. BDD coming in clutch, but now Shun ready to cover with the ulti of his own. Cuzz covering again. These guys are friends forever as On brings them together, but it's up to Elk to bring the damage. He needs to get close, but he's scared of Lehends, of Cuzz, of even aiming in the wing. It's messy. It's a 2-for-2 in the end, but it looks so good for KT.
It's just a 2-for-2, but it's mayhem. Hysterics, both teams going all in. You know, teleports coming in, reinforcements are called upon. By the end, I think it's BLG that will have priority towards this dragon, but with Kiin having teleport available, as does Bin, and Hex Gates on the map, we'll see if KT try to contest, because if not, then by the end of all of this, it will be BLG getting out ahead, right?
Yep.
Ebo, as Lehends, is he going to be in trouble? Oh, they're going to start Nash.
Sneaky
Baron. The trigger! It's the Hex Gates!
28 minutes in, you said it made the game interesting. Chronic, like, you're on point with this. Behind Lehends is showing, he's like, all right, we're trying to contest. He flashes over Yagao, now interested in the meat. But look at this. This is the bigger prize. KT have outsmarted, outthought. BLG caught by surprise while Lehends is grinning from ear to ear. The Baron. Oh, Ignite. It doesn't cancel it. All 5 with Baron. Thank you very much.
Well, and Lehends continuously staying there to ensure that BLG think that they're going to contest. Love that. As we go back to this play, so Bin stalls this out so well, right? Actually getting a knockback on aiming, buying so much time, and even though he eventually ends up going down, so much is invested by both Kiin and aiming. And then here is where you think, okay, BLG have this. But then the amount of damage, and even with aiming, tanking that one turret shot, him stepping back from Elk, and then able to stay alive, even with the feathers coming down. Really, really big. But then Shun, earlier to the play, really nice dodge there with his W on the re-engage. And then at this point, Cuzz and Lehends don't have damage. Right, so they're not able to actually get anything on. Aiming standing there, he wants to join, but he can't. But then the fact that they make it look like they're contesting. And even Lehends, that's the most Lehends moment, man. That guy's a troll.
Yeah.
I'm shocked he's not emoting.
Oh, man. Red Bull Baron power play. It's already at 2.5. KT, the big brain move, has led them back into an advantage in this game. Now, BLG have moved to Soul Point, but that's 3.5 minutes away. What is this Baron going to take? Because already you can say that aiming's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
BDD, 3 items strong on this Talia as well, is going to pop someone.
Now, aiming is a big deal. I'm also worried because he has a GA. Aiming has been very trustworthy, even in this game. But I see that, and I'm a little worried. But as long as his Baron buff is there, KT can keep up this pressure. That's really ballooning the gold with the pickup of the inner turret.
True.
And we do see BLG obviously able to match in the mid lane with the wave clear of the Elk. But outside of that, rest of the team not going to have the best of time. Great defensive wards though, so no one should get caught here, and that should be the end of KT's Baron power play. But they are back towards that about 3k gold lead, but with soul points in BLG's hands.
Yeah, it's a 4k Baron power play, by the way. I mean, again, huge swing of momentum.
Yeah.
And I've been impressed. It's cool because, you know, obviously I don't cast KT normally. Obviously I don't cast LCK. It's cool coming into this and being like, man, from what I saw on VODs, from what I saw in regular season, world-class players like this. We've already talked up BDD, we've talked up aiming, especially on his Kai'Sa. Cuzz has been legendary for me in some of the early games to get the momentum rolling.
Yeah.
This Zac pick, I think it caught us by surprise. I think it caught BLG by surprise, to be quite honest.
And it is very in line with KT. They are a team that is very happy to just do their own thing. As we now see KT trying to set up a lot of pressure here.
Yep.
Don't have the Baron buff anymore though, so Elk definitely going to be able to just clear out. And yeah, Bin not really the target that you want to try and dive. So,
Flash, wait, Bin, what is he doing? The shove back though, Bin gets the half HP, but the all in, the all out is there. BLG fighting under that inner turret, going golden, going into GA. Cuzz now caught up here as well. Maybe KT weren't expecting the Spanish Inquisition. BLG are chasing them out. Where did that come from, Chronicler?
It's Bin making the magic happen, finds aiming. I'm going to take responsibility for that one. I haven't told, even with the GA, he just ends up going down. And those kills are really big because they will allow BLG to set up for this soul point. Hextech Soul so valuable. It's, Bin sets it up. And initially it looks like there isn't enough damage follow-up, but between On as well as Shun, they're able to lock him down. And Kiin isn't there. There's no teleport for this Aatrox. A couple of knockups could have changed everything there, but instead BLG smell a moment of weakness, go all in, and that flash Q from Bin might net them the dragon, which in turn could be the game decider because Hextech Soul is so obnoxious to play into.
Just when I let my guard down, I mean, look, goal difference over time. Powered by AWS to tell us that it's going up and down. It's swinging up and down. Gold's near even again. In fact, BLG for some reason have a lead. Look at that. That looks like an LPL Sunday.
That's perfect.
It is perfect, isn't it? I mean, BLG to their fighting breath, really. And as you said, it's about the souls. So Chronicler set us up because we have almost full item 80 carry on KT. They're still really strong. But the problem is no GA there. Elk now has his.
And that's something that I don't know if KT can deal with. Elk has Flash, GA, and Ultimate is level 16. So consistently trying to shut down the Xayah is going to be tough.
Oh, good pick though. Onto On. Magastorm used early. Support's just dead. KT.
He's gone.
Brilliant pick.
And that, I think BLG, just abort. You don't need to fight to the death over this guys.
You're telling
you
BLG.
Don't need to fight over to the death.
It's BLG. They look for the steal. They don't find now. Kiin for the angle. They've got the numbers advantage, but they're looking for the pick as he goes golden. BLG, are they in a bad spot? No, the answer is absolutely no, but the healing is absurd. All out over the wall while Kiin runs for his life. And Bin is ready to play budget Aurelia. KT run away. I cannot believe BLG were going to take that 5v4.
Well, BLG immediately turning that into tempo towards mid here. Again, KT wasn't sitting at soul point, so they can give that one up. Still able to get something out of that. On getting caught there means that KT, at the very least, is able to prolong the soul going over to BLG. And both teams, again, it's the Hex Gates already at the Baron pit, ready to go another round. Although I'm pretty sure that this time BLG not going to let them have it so easily.
Are you counting the Barons? How many are we up to in this one?
It's the second one, right?
Yeah, second or is it third? I mean, I had this with Venius too. Games like this and you're like, man, how many Barons? How long have we been here? There's so much back and forth today. And to finish off Swiss Day 1 at Worlds, I don't think you could ask for a more perfect end.
Regardless of, you know, who ends up losing this game, I think the people that might feel like the loser, whoever has to face off against whichever team loses.
Agreed.
Because it's looking rough. Gaming, as mentioned, has been able to stay up, but at this point, like 16 to 70k gold, it doesn't make that big of a difference. His GA still on cooldown as well. And with the golds, basically that even, it's all going to come down to, can you find access to that backline, right? Aiming and BDD on the side of KT, Yagao and Elk on the side of BLG.
Yep.
If they stay alive in a fight, if they don't get jumped on, then you're fine. But like the CC chains for both these compositions are disgusting, right? Because it's like Maokai, Cassante, and Rel versus Aatrox, Zac, Rakan, and Taliyah.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No, it's really not. Someone's going to stop moving. I think that's why it's important that we kind of take care of summoners. I mean, Kiin, without his flash on the Aatrox, okay, dunk down potential or follow-up engage.
Absolutely.
I think another one there is Shun. I'm not sure of the timer on it. We've got about 20 seconds, maybe less, on his flash on the Maokai to get into the backline too. So all important counters, and we get to that point in the game where it is so important to start tracking those minute differences. I would say a minute, maybe not minute, but a significant one is the fact that GA is almost up for aiming.
Yeah.
How much longer do you reckon we have on that?
I don't know. I think that BLG might be looking to go in on a big engage to try and force KT to fight before the GA is up.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't of any value in the last fight, generally it allows aiming to play so much more aggressive. Do you know, they don't have any vision in the pit, but they do have the little ward outside. So they have a pretty good idea that BLG isn't actually going for this, as Kiin doesn't have flash.
There's the flash again. Bin might be doing it again, but this time it's onto the Aatrox. Mobility, his friend, he gets popped back, and BDD tries to help out his brother, but he gets blasted out. Massive shutdown is aiming. Ulted in, but he's isolated. The wall is not his friend either. He'll take his tower up, though, is on. Disrupts the other back line. Elk ulti once again onto Cuzz, who flashes in, gets feathered down, but in the backside, aiming is dead, but that GA is all the difference. Elk survives. Cuzz is out of there. BLG make it a 1-for-2 as now Bin once again has got the blades out and KT have to run for their lives.
I do think that Lehends, BDD, and Cuzz still being alive might be enough.
Okay.
We'll see if they want to risk it. Zac, still opportunity is still here with the E. Is KT going to go for it? Right now, it looks like they're not. Just going to give this one up and try and get a reset in for the Hextech Soul instead. And again, it's Bin.
These flashes on Cassante every time.
Able to set up the play. Kiin getting caught out there. Doesn't have the flash, as you already highlighted. And even with the healing, it's not enough. And then that's Duskblade proc. Ends up being such a big difference maker. Aiming in no man's land. The rest of his team not able to get quite that deep due to On doing a really good job of keeping the rest of KT segmented away from that 80 carry. And then Elk's like, okay, well, Cuzz, you got me. I have GA. Watch me care. And at this point, KT making the call. Guys, this Baron contest, if it's a flip and we lose it, game's done. We're going to try and fight. But will they actually be able to? Baron Power, or Rebel Baron Power Play coming up here for BLG should give them free prio in the lanes. And if they get this, that is the Hextech Soul over to them.
I mean, is it going to be a 4-0 LPL day or a 3-1? Can LCK get another? It all comes down to this to round it up as Cuzz goes to the engagement. Look, once again, Kiin is caught out. Shouldn't find him. BLG group up while the tanky members go through, but aiming. Is this his clutch factor coming through? He goes golden, he sets up with BDD. Elk is out of there. The flash on! KT are coming up clutch, but Bin has the swords out again. Stop the Cassante. Can you do it? Lehends runs for the hills while Cuzz is left isolated. Just when you think aiming has done it all, they put him in the bin.
And with that, that should be Soul going over to BLG. If they don't just make a mad dash forward, they do still have the Baron available. They don't have a lot of damage though. It's just Bin, Shun, and On. So they do lack the ability to go for the turrets very, very quickly. But we're almost 40 minutes into the game, right? I don't know if KT's going to be able to clear the waves. Kiin up in 20. But is that enough?
It's massive. Again, Lehends has the watch here. 15 seconds will count it down. Kiin to save the game. BLG with the Baron are going to break the base at the very least. On going to take the Hex Gate, and with a Hex Tech Soul in the back pocket, we have flipped this game. Enough, Chronicler. On our first day of Worlds, we have sat on the seesaw. My backside's getting a little bit sore here. Got to get off the seesaw at some point. Maybe BLG are the ones to send us away.
And crucially there, Cuzz isn't able to actually make it onto the back line. And even though aiming goes in, there's so much stall to come through. Elk doesn't actually go down, and the amount of damage that Bin is able to do through this elongated fight is such a big problem, right? And that's even before he uses his stone plate. Yeah. And then this is the problem. The moment that BDD gets actually engaged on, you know, once Cassante is on top of Talia, you just die. There's not a whole lot you can do, even with a more shred-oriented build like he went for. And as a result, aiming dead, BDD dead, there's not enough damage available for KT.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I like Cassante.
You know,
it's nuts.
Yes, Cassante is a champion, but I gotta credit the Bin.
You do.
Man's playing like a madman.
I mean, it's great. Again, exemplifying plays here in this series, rather game. Feels like a series.
It does. It does.
It's 41 minutes in. I mean, look, it's gone quite a while.
Look at the Hextech slow.
It's annoying, isn't it?
Aiming getting poked out as well by the Jace.
Will LPL finish 4-0 on their debut to Swiss? What do KT have left in this back pocket? You need to tell me, Chronicler, before they just run it in. I mean, Bin's tanking a turret. Great wall. Elk is caught, Bin's caught, but the ulti from Shun in response is massive. Cuzz also poked out. The Hextech Soul is brilliant. And as BDD gets slowed walking back to his base, BLG, I thought they were the ones caught out.
And I think BLG ideally try to avoid flipping it on a final fight, right? Try to just poke them down, wear them out with Hextech Soul. Look at those procs. Actually taking a fight, I think, is the one way that you lose this game, because if somehow KT are able to, you know, get a miracle team fight, get into the back line, that's going to be the end of it. But knowing BLG, that's not what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, again, they were willing to take a 4v5 before.
They don't have Nash, though, so actually pushing through when everyone in KT is up,
makes it harder.
Still a hard thing to do. We'll see if KT can hold on. At this point, the gold lead, not really the big thing, but it's more the map control that's available for BLG, plus the Hex stack.
Cuzz, elastic slingshot, it's onto On. Bin steps up, but he's out straight away. Cuzz has gone a little bit deep, but there's no follow-up damage, so he's okay for now. Kiin's the one who took half his health just from the poke of BLG.
And BLG, I think backing off here is still the right call, trying to set up vision. You have full map control, so making sure that you are first to the Dragon Pit, or the Baron Pit rather, is what you're going to be looking towards. But the big benefit for BLG is that you can kind of posture towards Baron and then just run down mid, right? And KT have to fully respond. And if they don't, if they make the wrong call, then they might get Baron, but trade it for Nexus, which generally is considered not worth. And if they hesitate,
as opposed to who? Who says that?
Yeah, you can find. It doesn't matter what opinion you have. You can find someone who think it might be worth it, you know?
You know, previous World Team, shout out to SOFM on Sooning in the past. There have been games where previously, in previous years, SOFM has made that trade more than once in the LPL.
Was he happy about it?
Who knows? He got enemy Krugs. That was the main thing. But hey, in this game, KT trying to get whatever they can left of the remnants of their jungle. They're still behind 4,000 gold. Gold is getting to the point of being irrelevant, but still we're waiting for some of the final items and some of the final carries of this game.
I think we're going to get one more fight.
I think we're going to get one more Baron at the very least, right? Or maybe it turns into the Elder as BLG have priority here, and it's KT who have to walk in.
Look at the poke. Lance already taken down fairly low. They have all the vision. Lance goes in, doesn't actually end up working. Cuzz, can he get in?
They're going to flip it, but it's down. Never mind, you can't flip it when you have a Xayah. Cuzz just has to run away for now as he flashed out of that before dying and making this a GG.
And for BLG, you have two options. Either you go all in on mid, try to end it with this Baron power play, third Baron of the game.
Yep.
Just running down mid, shove him out. As long as you can keep track of where this Aatrox is, Kiin just hasn't been able to have a big impact, right? Aatrox is so reliant on actually getting onto the enemy backline. BLG has been doing a really good job of keeping him away from there. Or you just play it safe and you go for Elder and you go for the 100%. Now, I know what an LCK team will do.
But this ain't one. It's BLG who, with Baron, are going to try and force their way in. Kiin doing that with the GA. He's confident, but Bin once again on top has been the better top laner as Cuzz finds Elk, but the feathers have landed once more. A shove back won't save the day, but Lehends trying what he can do, but the problem is his damage is getting resurrected. Aiming repositions, but Elk stands strong. KT started with grins on their faces, but as the ace comes through, it is LPL who will start 4-0 here in the Swiss stage at Worlds. It is BLG who will never say die.
This game delivered what we expected from a fight between the number 2 seed of the LPL, number 3 from the LCK. And man, I know who's facing BLG in winners. I know who's facing KT in losers. We're going to have a draw at the end of the day, but
either one's rough.
That felt like a series. It was one best of one, Hysterics.
Yep.
One.
But it was great, and I wouldn't mind seeing this one again. Shout out to KT, getting to experience aiming firsthand, BDD in some of those power moments. Cuzz on the Zac Chronicler, one of my favorites. I mean, that early game was triumphant. A shame they couldn't hold on. A shame that, again, some of the flashes from Bin was so huge to change the whole game state.
Yeah, Bin really the biggest difference maker here to me. I think that BLG in general played well. Elk, some of the reflexes that he had really took a lot of the aggressive angles away from KT.
Yep.
But specifically, multiple